Good. Again, I'll start at 4 minutes. 4 minutes, so let me know in the live chat when you're here. Let me know in the live chat when you're here. Again, it's afternoon at the moment, or let me check to be sure. Oh no, it's not afternoon anymore, it's evening, it's past 6 p.m. But I still have the opportunity to make this short live, so that's what I'm doing. When you're here, let me know in the live chat again, and also hit the like button, thank you very much. So, Dixon is here. Glad to have you here, Dixon. All right, everyone that's here, hit the like button so that the YouTube algorithm will pick it up for other believers, others that need to receive this message. Again, I'll start at 4 minutes. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. If you didn't hit the like button, hit it please. Thank you. And by the way, let me know if you can hear me clearly. That's quite important. Durham is here. Steve is here. I'm glad to have you here, Steve. It's been a while. All right. So, again, I start at 4 minutes. So, within 4 minutes, I'll begin. By the way, can you hear me clearly? I know there's a little bit of an echo in this room, but I can't really help it at this moment. But anyway, just some update to you. I purchased a carpet, I laid it down, as you can see over here. There's a carpet on the floor. It's a room I'll be working in, so. And the rest of the stuff is coming tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. So things are making progress over here. So, and thanks to everyone who sent donations, very much appreciated. It's not wasted, it's used for the Lord, Heavenly Father, and for this ministry. Praise God. Thanks for the support. Hold on. Again, I start at the 4 minute mark. So within 1 minute, I'll begin. Let me see. Maria, I see you. I'm glad you're here, Maria Garcia. It's good. I see 5 thumbs up. Thank you very much. All right, it's a 4 minute mark, so class has begun. Now, the title of this live stream is Counseling Premature Death. What is premature death? Premature death is when a human being dies way too young or before their time. Chris here also, I'm glad you're here, Chris. I'm glad you're here, Suzanne. Premature death can be a child dying during childbirth, or it can also be a child dying of a disease or due to an accident, or just due to an act of intention, for example, by homicide. Premature death doesn't relate to children, it's relate to adults. Someone dies from cancer at age 40, for example, or someone had bad health and, long story short, you end up giving the ghost at 30 or at 50. No. There is no actual age limits determined by worldlings to decide when it's old enough to die. Some say 75, others say 80. Hey, someone said 56. I forgot who said it. It was a long time ago. Anyway, there is one agreement worldlings have. Some people die way too young or way too soon. And it's tragic when it happens. But there's one thing about premature death that we often don't see. And that is that premature death is a cycle. Yes, it is. I'm not sure how often I repeated this in my previous videos, but I'm going to do it now. Since the fall of man, when the human species became a community, amongst sinners there has been this cycle of premature death. It goes like this. You have a community. All the people there are in sin. They're all in a fallen state. And because of that, they all grow this pollution in their energy fields. And this pollution weighs them down also on a physical level. Now, if everyone keeps accumulating pollution, eventually everyone collapses. And when everyone collapses, everyone is in danger. So, what happens is that evil spirits, when they see the pollution is getting a lot in a human community, the evil spirits know, oh, this community is about to collapse. So it's going to be mass suicides, going to be mass stabbings, people are going to lose their minds, domestic violence will explode. So the evil spirits know it's going to get bad. But evil spirits also know if it gets too bad, the population may decide, you know what are we doing? And that will lead to people returning to their Heavenly Father. So the evil spirits don't want you to return to the Heavenly Father. They want you to stay in that ease that they provide to you. So this is how evil spirits do it. Every generation in any environment where people are inhabiting, evil spirits select the most likely candidate to die prematurely. Yes, let's say you have this town called Empire. There's a little block called Empire near Los Angeles. It's in the state of California. Let's say you have the neighborhood called Empire. And in Empire, let's say you have a community of 20,000 people. And within that community, again, there's a lot of pollution. People getting heavy. And a woman is pregnant. Okay? But she became pregnant out of wedlock. Or the baby is from a married man or whatever. Anyway, there's some controversy with the pregnancy. Now, she gives birth to a baby. Now, demons can foresee, because they can predict. Because of the controversy around the pregnancy, this child, when he or she grows up, especially if it's a boy, a he, they will face backlash of the controversial pregnancy of the mother. So the evil spirits now can predict, okay, so this individual has a setback already because of the controversial background of the pregnancy. So the evil spirits calculate, look at all the people, from all the 120 children born this year, this is the best candidate to die early in life. And then the demons will come together and they will select a blueprint that they will use on you. So let's say now you have a guy called Daniel, okay? Daniel was born in 1995. His father died early on. Okay, but his father was sick for a while, so the demons already saw, okay, this man's going to die, and this guy is going to grow up without a dad. And the mother is a bit hyper-emotional. So the evil spirits already calculate, okay, this Daniel is going to be born now, 1995. Within 20 years, it's 2015. And you know what? To increase our grip on the population over here, it's better if this guy died around age 22. So the evil spirit realized, okay, but if we want this to happen, if we want him to die around age 22, that's going to be our deadline. So we have to arrange misfortune in this child's life early on so that we will reach the deadline of him dying at age 22. Because it's 1995 now, but by 2015, there will be some turmoil in the world, and we don't want people to wake up, so we will use the tragic death of this individual, who will then be 20, but hope he dies at age 22. So around between 2015 and 2017, this baby that's just born is going to die. So demons already decided, okay, this is our claim that this individual will die young, just to preserve the trauma in the community, because we want the community to heal. Now, that being said, the evil spirits don't have the ability to just snatch the child or kill the child. Neither when the child's growing up. The thing is, the evil spirits, they need the cooperation of the masses. So, what happens then is that when the demons agree, okay, there needs to be a premature death, this generation too. So from the babies born now, okay, Daniel's going to be the one that's going to die early on. Okay, we made our selection, but now we need to enact the blueprint. So then the evil spirit decides, you, spirit of victimization, follow this baby. Follow this baby wherever the baby goes. So the spirit of misfortune begins to follow Daniel. And around age 7, Daniel is almost sexually molested. Why? Because the victim spirit was pulling sex predators towards Daniel. Now, it didn't work out because demons don't always succeed in what they're doing. But the plan of evil spirits was to get Daniel sexually molested at age 7. That's around the age when the mind of a human being begins to develop. So, it didn't work out. But still, the misfortune spirit was still around. So when Daniel was at age 11, and beginning of his teenage years, there were a lot of people, grown folks, who couldn't stand him. Why? Because the victimization spirit was drawing the negative energy from other people, the negative emission from other people towards Daniel. So people felt comfortable unloading negativity on Daniel. So Daniel began to think, what the heck goes on here? Why does everywhere I go, there's something bad happening to me or around me? Now Daniel is something bad, it's a victimization spirit causing it behind the scenes through the other people. And then when Daniel at age 13 begins to think, what the heck is going on here? Now a confusion spirit comes in and pushes someone in Daniel's life, likely someone from high school, that tells him, well, some people are just meant to die young. Some people are just meant to be losers. Just the way the universe works. Now this is some new age garbage. And Daniel does not actually believe what he heard, but what happened was that the lying spirit used that other individual to conduct suggestive witchcraft on Daniel. So when Daniel is 15, he hears this. When he heard this, was actually something suggested unto him, people die young, that he was just destined to be so. Daniel did not counter the suggestive witchcraft because he had no idea it was suggestive witchcraft, but he did feel something was off. Now Daniel becomes 19. Everything seems to be at ease, because now it is a demonic charm that's on Daniel that caused things to go smoothly. So when Daniel turned 18, ages 18 and 19, everything went smoothly. And then at age 20, suddenly Daniel was shot by a stray bullet. He wasn't even the target of the shooting. And he's in the hospital fighting for his life. Now, by now, the misfortune spirit, the lying spirit, as well as the tragedy spirit, they all go and report that it worked. It's 2015 now, so he either dies now in the hospital or within 2 years, though the wound's not healing properly, he'll die. But then, at age 21, a year later, Daniel comes to faith, he becomes a believer. But he became a believer, but still not a problem because we're still not delivered. But then Daniel begins to pray, decree, declare, and before he knows it, he begins to get all types of flashbacks. of his life. He thinks, what the heck is this? But Daniel goes into therapy, he processes everything that happened. And soon Daniel figured out there was just something demonic going on with him. And then, after age 22, suddenly all types of trouble overtook him. Why? Because the demons were upset, thinking Daniel should have been dead by now, but he's still alive. So the demons begin to try to desperately put all types of trouble on him. And the more trouble comes upon Daniel, the more Daniel begins to pray and fast, and before you know it, at age 25, it all stops. The demons missed their deadline. The premature death did not happen. Because of that, there's less trauma in the community. Oh, and it's worse, because the target that had to die prematurely is now booming in life. Now, that's how the cycle of premature death has gone on for thousands of years. Evil spirits do not want the community to crash too much, so they select the babies that have to die early on. And then they will use human agents to get the premature death accomplished. So it's not just the demons doing it, it's the demons working for other people. So other people are also involved and responsible for the individual dying prematurely eventually. So whenever you hear about someone dying in a car accident, or someone had a heart attack, or they fell in the bathtub and they drowned, or whenever you hear any of those sudden tragedies, it's not sudden. It's a cycle that has been enacted by society, because the evil spirits need society to comply for the cycle to work out. Evil spirits are not as powerful that they can just go out there and slay people. No, they don't. So, premature death is a cycle that society maintains. And what's the purpose of the cycle? It gives assurance and ease to the rest. If you have a little boy of 5 years old dying of some disease, then you have 2 parents who are heartbroken for life, and then other people will say, well, I don't have any children, so I won't face that trouble. Or you know what, my children are alive still. Thank praise God, or whatever. So it gives ease to the rest of the people. Or if someone that's 25 died of a drug overdoses, though the unprocessed trauma, it's not that the individual didn't want any help, but they were neglected. Now other people say, well, at least I have a loving family. Their family isn't that loving, but at least they think didn't die homeless on the street from an overdose. So premature death is a booster. It's a booster that gives a shot of excitement to the community. Chuba, thank you very much for your donation. Very much appreciated. Again, this live should not be that long because there's something quite simple I want you to understand. So that's why I'm explaining it in depth now. Premature death is like a cocaine shot, or a heroin shot. It's like a high that the community gets. For example, maybe you live in a neighborhood, and in a neighborhood, people between ages 30 and 40, they look like they're 90 years old. They have wrinkles over the place, they look tired, sad. You think, whoa, why are people so sad suddenly? Then one day you hear a car hit a young lady, 90 years old. She died. Everyone is shocked. But look at this. At the funeral, suddenly people are happy again. They're not happy because the girl died, but suddenly they feel happy again. And for the months afterwards, people are kind of alive again. Now this is what happens. The public had pollution on them that grew out of the energy fields. So the demons had to remove that excess pollution from the energy fields, so to prevent the community from collapsing. So there was this teenage girl that was traumatized, and because she was neglected by the people, because the people neglected her, and because of that, things got worse with her, without her being aware of it. And the demons now could push all the pollution around on this woman. And then, because all that pollution was on her, she ended up crashing with a car or with a truck or whatever. And when she died, all that excess pollution of the crowd that she kind of sucked up like a sponge was burned away with her. So the atmosphere in the community became kind of fresh again. So she became the sacrificial lamb that gave ease to the public. Now she died, people are sad about it, but at the same time people feel energized again. And then 2 or 3 years later, now it's a 30-year-old man who just dies tragically. It goes on and on and on. Premature death is a cycle that society holds on to. This cycle works in giving ease to the masses. Because worldlings don't really value life to begin with. They don't. So when something tragic happens to someone else and they experience some ease coming their way, that motivates them to kind of appreciate life again. So again, premature death is a selection by evil spirits, but it's enacted by society. So evil spirits select, society enacts. So who's responsible? Both the evil spirits and society. Not just evil spirits, because if the society would not enact, the premature death never happened. So, when someone dies prematurely, it's sad. Whether you're a believer or unbeliever, it's sad, it's horrible, of course. But what we fail to see is that the public is in on it. Some of you were marked for death, but you had people praying for you, and you became a believer, and you were delivered, and that's why you're still around. So, the evil spirits select, and society confirms the selection. And when one society confirms the selection by neglecting the individual or by scapegoating the individual, now the individual has been marked for death. And people that are marked for death, there's one thing you notice about them. They have this season in their life where everything goes rapidly, swiftly, too swiftly, too smoothly, but they don't notice it. Why? Because here's the thing. When you're marked for death, if everything keeps going wrong with you all the time, you're going to wake up and think, what the heck is going on here? So to make sure that the one that's marked for death actually dies, the evil spirits grant you this ease. Evil spirits agree to work behind the scenes to make things as smoothly and easy for you as possible, as far as they can. And because of that, you think life is going well with you. Then one day suddenly you go missing, or suddenly you're stabbed, or you have an accident, or whatever. Or you hear that you have some disease that's going to kill you, and you think, whoa, how did this suddenly happen? Well, here's the thing. That smooth success, and just going rapidly for you, that was the red flag. Others around you noticed the unusual timing of that success you had. You didn't. And because of that, you fell right into the grave that society prepared for you. So it's clear to you now that premature death is not just something that suddenly happens to someone in a tragic way. Too often we think that tragic things just happen. Well, let me tell you, from our point of view, they just happen because we don't have an oversight of what goes on behind the scenes, beyond what we can see. I just explained to you, premature death is an ancient cycle that the world keeps going because they get the daily benefits out of it. So, before I continue, did you know anyone who died prematurely? And now you recognize what I've taught you in this live stream, the season of smooth success, and also the suddenness of them disappearing. You don't have to say who it is, but does anyone come to your mind? Let me know in the live chat. Now, those who passed away, there's nothing we can do for them anymore. They've passed away, it's over. But what we can do is be aware and we can be ahead of future premature deaths. Okay? Especially premature deaths within our own environment. Those are the easiest for us to shut down. So, there are even believers dying prematurely because they were not delivered. Okay, so it's not something that only happens to unbelievers, to those that are lost. It also happens to believers, unfortunately. And you know what? Society is so comfortable with premature death that if you even mention that it's an inside job, they're going to look weird at you thinking, Mr. Dusted, do you need to take your medicine? Did you go to a psychologist because you're ranting now? That's what they would be like that, or they would begin to troll you or whatever, because once you come to terms that premature death is a cycle that worldlings are familiar with, then you also realize that it could have been you also. Yes, it could have also been you who were marked for death. Now, some of you were, but those the prayers of believers around you, or those of you being around blessed people, it didn't happen. And the fact that it could have been you, that shocks you. Some even have to go into therapy to process this shock, but that's the way it is. You have all those weird sayings in society. For example, the good die young. I don't know who came up with that nonsense statement, but a statement a lot of people believe. Some people say, well, you can die anytime. You know, nobody's promised tomorrow. You have all those curses people curse themselves with. Society is all about death and misfortune. That's what society is. Society embraces and welcomes death and destruction. Now, it's one thing to admit that our physical bodies will expire one day. We know that. Okay? But you shouldn't center your whole existence around one day your body will expire. And not only do they do that, but they even look forward to their body expiring as if some honorable or great achievement or a great event. And here's the thing, society gives more credit to you once you pass away. Yes, memento mori is from some Roman philosopher. Haven't you noticed someone can be alive, walking around? People barely see him. One day they hear, oh, Jeffrey passed away. We'll say, what, Jeffrey? Yes, that guy that used to walk around with his guitar. And they say, oh my God, what happened? Well, they wouldn't give many details, but there was some type of cancer in his liver, man. He's gone. People say, oh Lord, and on Sunday, people feel so bad for him. But when he was alive walking around, it didn't look that well. But people thought, oh, it's not my business, it's not my problem, or whatever. People just wanted to be left alone. Now that he's gone, now they have empathy, now they have sympathy, and now they look for his grave and they purchase flowers to put on his grave. Whoa, he got no flowers when he was alive. He didn't even get a hi from people when he was alive. A hi, them saying hi, a greeting, that's what I mean. Not a hi of getting high, but he didn't even get a hi, a greeting from people when he was alive. But now he gets flowers, all types of kind words. Society is invested in death and misfortune. So you having misfortune haunting you is seen as something mature. You crashing and dying will be perceived as reality or something that makes us appreciate life more. It's a twisted, inverted thinking, but that's how the world is. So, with worldlings being invested in death and misfortune, do not be surprised that many of them, especially those close to you, will turn on you when you operate life in abundance. Worldlings are not into life in abundance, they're into death and misfortune. They are familiar with death and misfortune, and they identify with death and misfortune. How can creatures that identify with death and misfortune generally rejoice in you, move act in life and abundance? Now, some of them, which are exceptions, will rejoice in you, go in life and abundance. That's rare. Let me tell you, some people are still waiting for you to die. I'm talking to you now. Some of you were marked for death, but you're still alive. Some people are still waiting to hear the phone call. Oh, Tammy had a car crash. She's gone. Her husband and her children survived her. The funeral is next week. Oh, Steve was stabbed, man. Man, I know what he was doing, but he was stabbed very badly, man. Oh, Lord. Man, yeah, there will be a funeral, but I don't think many people will come. Oh, people are waiting for such reports of use. I'm telling you. Why? Because you crashing and dying confirms their ease that they get from investing in death and misfortune. Yes, society gets a high, society gets an ease from seeing death and misfortune happen to others around them. It's quite simple when you think about it, but that's how it is. So, some of you men, people are disappointed. Why? Because some people thought, oh, this Justin, he'll end up live in his mama's basement, and he will end up a loner, in some mental asylum, because this guy didn't have a good upbringing, so yeah, sad, man, this is how it's going to be. They already decided that you're going to be this loner who cannot succeed in life. And now, they see you having your own place to stay in. They see you going on holiday twice a year. They see you having benefits in life, and now they're upset because their mental health, their mental health relies on you ending up as this loser. So from time to time, they will check on you, just confirm that indeed you are this loser, so they can feel at ease about themselves. The moment they see that things are going better with you, they have a mental breakdown. They have a mental crisis. And who are they going to blame? You. But why were they basing their mental stability on you being low to begin with? Oh, well, because then at least we don't have to face things in life. So they just want to escape. And the way they escape was by having someone worse off than them around them. And you were the individual that was worse off. But now that you're doing well, they're disappointed. Have you experienced this? That when things became better with you, people stop talking to you? People begin to block you on social media? People block your phone number? Or people just don't want to see you around? Now you know why. They're invested in death and misfortune. That's what they identify with. So they need supply. They need people to crash around them for them to be at ease. They can't have people around them being happy and joyful, because that was just going to show them that they are backwards, that they are self-destructive. They don't want to see this. They just want to keep escaping, but without facing any consequence for escaping. So they want to bail themselves out by having others crash around them. So, premature death is something that keeps society together. People actually I won't say that they actually become happy. If they were happy, they wouldn't be in that mindset. But people actually feel good about themselves when they hear that their neighbor was smacked around by his wife. And they will say, oh my God, look at that man. That man can't even manage that woman. That woman is kicking him all around. That man, they're saying that neighbor is a victim of domestic violence. Instead of them intervening by calling the police or just stepping in, they keep it going. Anytime the man says, I want to leave my wife, they tell him, no, you said I do. Be a good husband and be there for her. Go in therapy together. They want to keep him in that situation when he is abused by his wife. Why? So they can feel good about their own manhood. Because as long as they can see that neighbor being kicked around by that woman, they think, hey, we're good men. We're the good guys. We're strong men here. No woman kicks us around. No, but all of you guys have porn addictions. All of you guys have all types of weird thought patterns. You're taking out your anger on your children, but hey, at least you're not kicked around by another female. Then one day, that neighbor dies because the wife stabs him. And now they're all shocked. So they didn't expect it to go that far. And now they go to the guy's funeral, crying, saying, oh, he was such a good guy. How come this woman did this to him? The problem is they kept the guy in that bad situation. When he wanted to leave that situation, they pushed him right in. So they invested in the negative situation that became fatal to their neighbor. So they are killers. They're killers, what they are. They murdered their neighbor by keeping him in this bad situation that they want to get out of. And now the neighbor is dead. They don't want to feel bad about what they did, so they'll cry a river. They'll even start a foundation in the name of this man to honor his name after he passed away, just because of the fact that they were in on it. That's how they are. Oh, and that's why in the world there is this obsession with true crime series. Now you have fictional crime series on Netflix or on HBO or wherever, but you also have true crime series where they relive the death of the victims. Why? Because they are invested in death and misfortune. That's why. Now, hold on, let me put on the lights. Hold on a minute. Well, there's not much light over here, but at least a bit better. Now, one question. If someone asks you if you are proud to be a citizen of your country, would you say yes? Now, some would say, of course I would. I have to be thankful or whatever. But okay. What is nationality? Nationality derives from this invention by the ancient Greeks called borders. Because in ancient times, you didn't actually have this thing called borders between empires and nations. Borders were an invention by the ancient Greeks enforced to the Greek Empire, in which if you are within a border and you're born there, you belong to a nation. So you have the nationality of that place. What does that mean? That means that the public of that area, that they are entitled to victimize you without anyone intervening. This is called sovereignty. When sovereignty is acted out on a local skill, for example, in a village or in a household, we call it privacy. So sovereignty and privacy are exactly the same thing. Sovereignty is when it's done by a big multitude of people in a big area. Privacy is when it's done by people in a household or in a small neighborhood. It comes down to this. The public wants to have a supply of victims anytime their sexual dysfunction or emotional disturbances get too much. And if you belong to a nation, that means that people within those borders are entitled to select you as a punching bag and to bring misfortune on you. And nobody's right to intervene because you belong there. Today, they celebrate this. They celebrate you as a victim asset by giving you what you call the passport. I think I have my passport over here somewhere. Let me check. Or maybe not. Hold on. Just gonna use my own passport as an example, but you know what? Forget about it. I don't need that thing now. A passport is similar to a wedding registry or a wedding book. When people have a wedding, sometimes they will make a book with wedding pictures in it. And where the vows are written down. Well, that's what a passport is. A passport is a wedding book of your abusive marriage with society. You have the obligation to obey, serve, cherish, and promote society, to make yourself available to them, and they have a right to take from you for their benefit, and you have to shut up and get along with it. At the moment they decide to kick you around, slap you around, or to put you 6 feet under, that's their business. Now, if you're from Canada, if you're from the Netherlands, and you go across the border into Germany, now the German people, the German public is not allowed to do that to you, because you are a Dutch national. That means that the Dutch people have a right to smack you around and put you 6 feet under. And the government is there to regulate the killing urges of the population, to say it friendly. If you're in Germany, and that means that Germany has to give respect to the Dutch government by not allowing the German people to escalate on you. If there's a problem, they have to treat you as a property of the Netherlands. And they're not allowed to vandalize someone else's property. So they're allowed to put you in prison in Germany if you go too far, but they're not allowed to escalate on you. Because then Germany may have to send you back to your own country, and then you finish your job over there. So the passport is a wedding book that confirms this abusive relationship with this narcissist we call society. Now, we all use passports to travel around and as identification. And keep doing that. That's the only practical use a passport has. But the symbology behind the passport is that the people from the country that you were born in or that you pledge your allegiance to, they are entitled to your blood, your body, your sweat, and your tears. That's what it comes down to. So anytime you cling onto your nationality, you're clinging onto being a victim asset. Sometimes you have pagans in an area who want to have the killing power, the right to smack people around. For example, you have the country called Serbia in the Balkans, and you have this part of Serbia called Montenegro, but in Montenegro you have this group of pagans that is like, hey, we can't stand certain people, we want to smack them around. But here's the thing, Montenegro is part of Serbia, and it's the cult in, well, is it Sarajevo or, anyway, it's a cult in the capital of Serbia that has the quote-unquote right to smack the Serbians around. So as long as the people of Montenegro are Serbians, the people in Montenegro can't just decide we're going to smack them around now. But if the pagans in Montenegro decide, you know what, we want to separate from Serbia and become our own country, now the elite that push the separation, now they, once they recognize, become the entitled people to smack folks around. Now they become the sovereign, entitled folks over there. This happened with the United States. You had a group of British Freemasons in Philadelphia that decided that they don't want to give up slavery and they don't want to give up exploiting their own white people. But the British Empire was about to abolish slavery throughout its territories. So they declared themselves independent from Britain to separate from the British Empire so that they now could receive the quote-unquote right to victimize people in this new thing called the United States. And in 1783, they got this recognition, which was conditional, but they got it. So that's what it comes down to. Now, most of the white folks in the 13 colonies were still British, but now they became Americans because they were under this new structure called the United States of America. What did that mean? It simply meant that those British slave owners, which now call themselves Americans, were now entitled to take advantage of you and to escalate on you because you live in quote-unquote their jurisdiction. And you can't go to the courthouse, ask help from Britain anymore because you're not part of Britain. And they tell you to celebrate this by celebrating Independence Day. And later generations began to celebrate Independence Day. Do you know that in the beginning, when the United States was acknowledged, that most people didn't even celebrate Independence Day? Most Americans, no matter ethnicity, they don't even celebrate Independence Day. They didn't. Most didn't want nothing to do with it. It's later in the 19th century, when later generations were born that had no idea of what actually happened in the late 18th century, is then that Independence Day became like this big thing. And after the Second World War, a lot of Americans were proud that the United States was the hero kind of the Second World War, so Independence Day became this thing to do. When in the beginning, nobody in the United States wanted to celebrate Independence Day because they thought independent from what? We were better off with British governors. Now we have these Freemasons in Philadelphia that do whatever they want, and we just have to take it, and we're worse off. And worse, that cult of Freemasons got into debt, and they forced the public to pay for it, and by raising taxes quite high. And if they didn't pay the taxes, they would be locked up in prison camps. And quite some Americans died in those prison camps. They don't talk that in history books. So, worldlings are invested in death and misfortune. So they will celebrate death and misfortune. Not all, but most of the holidays in the world are centered around death and misfortune. Many of them are based on massacres that happen. Valentine's Day is based on a massacre that happened somewhere in the late Roman Empire. Christmas, which comes from Saturnalia, was also based on a massacre that happened in ancient Greece. Those massacres are now told with a twist in which it appears to be a good thing. So, if the world celebrates death and misfortune, because if you celebrate Independence Day as a USA citizen, you are celebrating the deprivation of the American public when independence was granted by Great Britain. Because economically, financially, the people that lived in Georgia, North South Carolina, and those other former colonies, they got worse off. Okay? But hey, people celebrate 4th of July. Now, one question to you. If your wife kicked you out and you found out she was cheating with someone else, will you celebrate the day you became homeless? No. You will celebrate the day you got back on your feet and you moved on. Things got better. But in the world, they celebrate the misfortune. That's what they do in the world. They celebrate the misfortune as if it's a great thing. But how can you celebrate misfortune if there's no misfortune happening? So the world demands a supply of people dying prematurely. They do. That's why when some people hear that you went to the hospital to do a cancer check, they already are preparing your funeral because they think, John is going to heaven soon. Some church even tell you, man, you're going to heaven, be happy. No, they should be praying, decreeing, declaring with you to overcome the sickness. No, they're going to celebrate you dying because you're going to heaven. What it simply means is, you're going to die soon, so we won't be responsible to you anymore. So it's going to be a relief for us. Oh, Lord. Now, that is why we are told, do not be conformed to the pattern of this world. The way you prevent premature death is quite simple. You do not agree with the celebration of it. Look, avoiding all holidays in the world is not the option. There's a cult now. There are cults out there of believers who want to avoid all holidays in the world to prove a point. Look, Jesus attended a holiday. Jesus attended holidays when he was on the earth. The word Hebrew holidays were still holidays. So Jesus attended holidays. Okay? It's not the holiday itself that's the issue. It's the fact that people celebrate this misfortune. So what do? Stop celebrating misfortune. If misfortune happened, recognize it, but decide we're going to do better now. I'm not saying forget the past and forget the horrors of what happened. No, don't forget it. You have to process it, but don't celebrate it. Because anytime you celebrate misfortune, you participate in the cycle. And by participating in the cycle, the negative flow of energy continues, and before you know it, someone else dies prematurely. That's how it goes. So, this is what you do. Don't wait till you suspect someone is marked for death. Everywhere you go, everywhere you arrive, command peace out of you, command long life around you. And if you suspect that someone is on the song, charge of death, command life to overtake the individual of Christ Jesus' mighty name. As simple as that. You don't have to decree and declare for hours. Well, that can be an option if the darkness is very big. But then you do it as a group. In general, it's quite easy. Don't celebrate the misfortune. What do you do instead? You propose better. That's what you do. People in the world don't believe in better. So now you know. Look, Jesus attended holidays when he walked the earth. Okay? So to say, I will celebrate Christmas, I will celebrate Easter, stay away with that. By fighting holidays, you actually make yourself look stupid because Christ didn't fight holidays. No. Fighting holidays exhausts you, makes you look dumb, and it also triggers conflict. What do? Okay, this is Christmas, this is Easter, or this is, I don't know what type of holiday. Okay, that's what it is. But you know what, guys? I've better than this. Instead of waiting for Christmas to come together, I want to come together regularly throughout the year. Just propose better and acting better is what you do. Doing that alone shuts down a lot of premature death around you. I guarantee you. I'm going to do some decrees and declarations for you right now. I command in Christ Jesus' mighty name that everyone who watches live stream is overtaken by the knowledge, and that the knowledge flows through them smoothly in their daily lives, affecting all around them for the better in Christ Jesus' mighty name. Amen. I command everywhere I go, life and abundance overtake that place. I command death, sickness, misfortune, tragedy, sadness, and pollution to flee 7 ways everywhere I come, everywhere I go, and everyone I talk to right now in Christ Jesus' mighty name. Amen. That's how we do it. If in your neighborhood there's like this climate of poverty, just do this. I command overflow of finances and overflow of opportunities now in this neighborhood in Christ Jesus' mighty name. Everyone that visits this neighborhood enters the wallet in this neighborhood in Christ Jesus' mighty name. Everyone that enters this neighborhood empties their wallet in this neighborhood in Christ Jesus' mighty name. To command such things, just do that. Everyone that enters this neighborhood gets better off in Christ Jesus' mighty name. Okay, you acknowledge the bad things goes around, but you meditate on them. You enforce the better. That's what we do. All right. Again, this live stream took a bit longer than I expected, but anyway, this is the end of the live stream. Again, it's not such a long teaching. Are there any questions related to this topic? Please ask them now. If you need to go, you can go because it's the end of the live stream. If you have any questions, just ask them. I'll save for a few minutes to answer the questions. Yes, Dimitri. That's why a lot of people are dying around holidays. Holidays in general. I'm not saying that everyone does this with that intention, but holidays are a setup to celebrate misfortune. All right. Someone asked, what about stillborn death and abortion? Now, stillborn death is a result of bad contention in the environment that affected the mother. That's one thing. Abortion is a sacrifice in which people don't see the child being killed because it happens inside the womb, but it's still a sacrifice. And those sacrifices also bring pollution into the community, and that's something they don't tell you. Every time you take away a child's life before they're born, you're bringing a shock of misfortune to the community, and the community is going to pay for it. So it's not just your body, your choice. You affect everyone else with your choice. Simple as that. Well, the Western world is going down now because of the sacrifice of unborn children. Well, I have to say, I'm not sorry for the Western world, absolutely not. But the Lord put me here to instruct believers to overcome the fall of the West, and that's what we are doing right now. Praise God. So, okay, that's it for now. Thanks for being here. It's already 9, more into the night now. Keep on committing to Christ, be at peace, and I'll see you next time.